10 survival stories that actually happened. There have been so many stories about how people have survived very life-threatening situations or periods. And today we've gathered our top 10 list of 10 survival stories that actually happened.
No, I don't think so. No.
But before we get into the video, please hit the subscribe button and get notified every time we upload a video. Here are 10 survival stories that actually happened. Number 10, Jackie Chan. We'll start with the story of a man who's become synonymous with Kung Fu, Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan is known for doing his own stunts by himself and for sustaining several injuries, including broken bones while doing his crazy and life-threatening stunts. What you may not know is that he's actually had a lot of life-threatening moments where he honestly thought it would all come to an end. We'll probably make a video on this later in the future, but for today, we'll have to mention just one. In a conversation on Good Morning America, he narrated a scene in which he was skiing had a dangerous turn of events. He noticed a huge stone in the water quite late, and while trying to avoid it, he was hit by a rapid, which flipped the jet ski over. As soon as the jet ski was flipped over, he was unable to swim up because the jet ski was directly over him, and it was too heavy for him to push. According to him, he tried to stay calm under the water and find a way out of the situation. Then he saw a small hole in which he was struggled to pass through and swam to the surface. By the time he was safe, he noticed some of his crew members who were already crying and realized how close he was to dying that day. Number 9, Jason Statham. Jason Statham, another popular name in the world of action movies, also survived a near-death experience and narrated on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. While filming in Bulgaria, on the edge of a dock by the sea, Jason decided to test run a truck in which everyone was supposed to be in for the scene in the movie Expendables 3. While driving, he discovered that the brakes had stopped working, and within seconds he had hit 2 cameramen and was falling in the truck into the sea. Sinking fast and more than 60 feet deep into the dark sea, he realized he was stuck in the mud and was certain that was how he was going to die. Luckily for him, he was able to cut loose and swim to the surface. Enough of the survival stories of movie stars. Let's talk about men who were just living their normal lives and had to struggle to survive the most threatening life experiences ever. Number 8, Harrison O'Keefe. Harrison O'Keefe was a chef who survived being trapped for 3 days at the bottom of the sea after his boat capsized off the coast of Nigeria. The 29-year-old man had survived by crouching in an air bubble after his tugboat capsized and was the only survivor as 11 other crew members had died as the vessel sank. According to O'Keefe, he was in the toilet when the vessel started to sink at a very fast speed. It became dark around him and all he could do was pray for his God to come to his rescue. He recounted on how hunger and cold were 2 of a lot of problems he had to endure as he endured the ordeal. After being underwater for almost 60 hours, he began to hear someone heavily hitting on the deck, and in response he began to hit the deck heavily too. The team of South Africans who were on a rescue mission could not believe when they heard the faint hammering in reply. According to McDonald, one of the officers stated that he was amazed at how the air pocket was not full of water. A training consultant from the Professional Association of Diving Instructors explained that it was supposed to be impossible to survive at that depth for that long. To survive that long at that depth is phenomenal. Normally you would dive recreationally for no more than 20 minutes at those depths. Number 7, Jose Salvador Alvarenga. Jose Salvador Alvarenga was a fisherman and was stranded in the Pacific for more than a year. The man who was from El Salvador washed ashore in the Marshall Islands, having set sail on a fishing trip from Mexico in 2012. He had shaggy hair and a bushy beard when Ebon Islanders discovered him 8,000 miles away from where he'd begun his journey. He was unable to walk without assistance when he was found. After a while, when he had recovered fully, he traveled back to Mexico to pay a visit to the family of his shipmate, Esquiel Cordova, who had starved to death 4 months into the ordeal and fell overboard. Number 6, Janet Ward. Janet Ward was a 77-year-old woman who was trapped in her vehicle for 5 days and was freed in February 2021. According to her, she'd been living in her van in Newark, New Jersey and had fallen asleep before waking up to find her car buried in snow due to a recent storm. She tried to get out of the vehicle, but was unsuccessful. She called the police to make a report and was surprised that no one was sent to help her for days. The police confirmed that they got a call, but claimed that they could not find her because she had made a mistake while logging in her call. The police tried reaching her, but were unable to reach her. Luckily for her, she had recently bought some food and water. Ward was finally rescued by a group of men from a residential substance abuse program located near the parking lot where she was stuck. Number 5, the gold miners. 11 miners were trapped hundreds of meters below ground after an explosion in China. The gold miners were going on with their daily job when an explosion trapped them in. Although it was known that they had gotten trapped, it took days to find out exactly where they were and bring them out safely. 5 days later, they were saved in batches, and although they were all alive, some had to be carried out after being exhausted and drained of all strength. Number 4. Eric Nerhurst. Eric Nerhurst, another name on this list, was not trapped underwater, or in a cave, or in his car. He was a survivor of a shark attack. Yes, you heard us right. Eric was attacked by a shark and he survived. 41-year-old diver Eric Nerhurst was off the coast of Australia, minding his own business, when all of a sudden he felt a sharp pain course through his own body. In the blink of an eye, it dawned on him that he was being attacked by a shark. Engulfed in darkness, he was inside the mouth of a 10-foot giant creature, and the creature's teeth were slowly crushing his head, back, and torso. Surprisingly, Eric still had enough fight in him by punching the shark rapidly. Finally, the shark let go, and he swam up to the shore where he was pulled out of the water and rushed to the hospital. This is something I would have seen in the movies and laughed at how impossible it was to fight your way out of a clenched jaw of a shark. Well, I suppose that makes Eric Nerhurst a real-life hero. Number 3. Henry Kitsha. Henry Kitsha is one of a handful of people who survived Auschwitz. 75 years after he was liberated, Henry would say he did not live through this ordeal. The place itself is death. In the death camp built by the Nazis, no one had a name. They all just had numbers tattooed to their forearms. Henry recounted how he witnessed Jewish women in the street throwing themselves from the windows with their babies, killing themselves out of desperation to escape the Nazis' roundup. All the women in his family were gassed and cremated as soon as they arrived. To this day, Henry suffers from the injuries he sustained during his time in the camp. According to him, he was 90% dead and was a skeleton. For years after the war, he never spoke of his suffering. Number 2. The Navratil Orphans. After a divorce between their parents, Michael and Edmond Navratil were on board the Titanic ship with their father. The mother, Marcel Carretto, had won custody of the kids, but has allowed them to spend the holidays with their father. The father, Michael Navratil Sr., was going to seize the opportunity to relocate the kids to the United States. On the night of the wreck, Navratil was able to get the boys aboard a lifeboat, the last lifeboat to leave the ship. Before they parted from their father, he left them with an emotional message for their mother. They would not have been saved if not the publicity surrounding the Titanic sinking. Their mother, who had no idea where her sons were, had spotted their photos in the morning paper and was reunited with her sons. Number 1. Ervin Tumiri. Last in the list of survival stories is a story of a man who seems to be love cheating death, Ervin Tumiri. He had survived a plane crash that killed 71 people, including most of the Japanese soccer team in 2016, and recently walked away from a deadly bus crash in Bolivia in March 2021. The 31-year-old crawled out of the bus that had just fell from a 500-foot hillside that saw 21 people dead and 30 others injured. Only left with minor bruises, Tumiri says he feels blessed by God. We have to come to the end of this video. Please hit the like button and do not forget to tell us what you think about the stories and which one of them actually surprised you the most in the comments section. See you in the next video.